Husband said it was not easy. His hand resting on his wife's legs. But love gives us courage, the husband continued, and courage to begin a new world. By the end of the train, the end of her journey, she pulled out to go to her destination. Emma's fear had given way to new determination. The couple's story reminded her that love, whether for oneself or for others or for life itself, was a source of infinite strength and new beginning. Emma stepped into the platform with a wide heart open. Fear had gone, ready to write the first chapter of her new beginnings. My dear brothers and sisters, we begin a new year and a new semester, and the readings today from the first letter of St. John and the Gospel of Mark can tie down that theme, that love and courage can chase away fear. As we gather at the dawn of a new semester, brimming with possibilities, challenges, and perhaps a hint of apprehension, these readings speak directly to our hearts. Let's see how we can bring them together. They offer us an opportunity to reflect on the themes of love, of fear, and courage, and the invitation to embrace God's abiding presence as we step into the unknown. What this year 2025 will be is only known by God. The first letter of John. In his letters, and it is continuation of what we have been listening to, even more precisely what we heard yesterday. 1 John chapter 4, verses 11 to 18. Beloved, if God so loved us, we also must love one another, John says. This simple yet profound call sets the foundation of all our relationships. A love modeled on the self-giving, self-sacrificing, pure gift, agape. But John does not stop there. He pivots to address fear. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives away out fear. I would want to believe that here lies the truth that resonates deeply in the context of a university community. We are here searching for truth. Fear often takes different forms, subtle forms. Perhaps you fear failure, like many of us. The weight of the high expectations put on you, the unknowns, the challenging, the meeting of new lecturers and new professors, the course load. There are reasons to fear. Perhaps it's the fear of rejection, of stepping out to form new relationships, or voicing your unique perspectives. Or maybe it is even deeper, a quieter fear of not being enough, not being intelligent enough, not being smart enough, remembering that grades don't mean everything. We have very intelligent people who are hard to live with. These fears can paralyze us, making us hesitant to embrace the fullness of life. Just try to imagine St. Ignatius, Ignatius of Loyola, if he had given in to fear, the society of Jesus would not have seen the light of day. But John's message is even clearer. Fear and love cannot coexist. God's love for us is not conditional, nor is it limited. It is perfect, boundless, transformative. The last time you checked on the cross. Love, as you know, St. Thomas Aquinas will define it beautifully. Love goes beyond feeling, because feeling vanishes very quickly. It is willing the good of the other and doing something concrete about it. and the other for the other. And that other doesn't have necessarily to be from my family. Love is probably what the Christian tradition maintains as the least inadequate expression for God. That the least wrong definition we can give of who God is that God is love. Aware that all our definitions of who God is remain limited, but John puts it beautifully. God is love. So when we allow ourselves to rest in this love, agape, our insecurities diminish. We can then reflect this love outward, creating a community where others feel valued and secured, where others also can feel challenged. Imagine what our university community could be if each of us chose to lead with love rather than fear. A place where collaboration flourishes, diversity is celebrated, those with old age are respected, and every voice finds a place at the table. And isn't it really at the heart of synodality that we should be asking who is missing at the table? We can say more on love. But let's say something about the gospel. The courageous love in the storm. The gospel takes us to the shore of Galilee, where the disciples find themselves battling with winds and waves. Just remember, these were experienced fishermen, but even their skills falter in the face of the storm. So you may have all the skills possible, but they are not enough. The storm, Pope Francis puts it beautifully. If you remember when he stood in the middle of St. Peter's Square at the heart of, when we had COVID, if you remember, he stood at the heart of St. Peter's Square alone, inviting the world to still have hope. And he said this, and I quote, "The storm exposes our vulnerability." That was the storm of COVID. Exposes our vulnerability and uncovers those false and superfluous or secondary uncertainties around which we have constructed our daily schedules, our projects, our habits, and our priorities. Isn't it what COVID uncovered? And yet, in the midst of the storm, the struggle of the disciples, Jesus appears, walking on the water. Yet their reaction is not joy or relief. They mistake him for a ghost. How often do we do the same? In moments of chaos and challenge, we fail to recognize that God is present. Isn't he the one who said, "Go, and I am with you until the end of the age"? We mistake his approach as something to fear rather than embrace. Yet Jesus' words to the disciples echo across the centuries. "Take courage, it is I." The beginning of a new semester and a new year often feels like stepping into a storm. The unfamiliar waters of new classes, new projects, social circles can leave us feeling challenged. The comprehensive exam questions that have come can come looking like a storm. Like the disciples, we can be so focused on the wind and waves of our circumstances that we overlook the one with whom we walk and the assurance that he gives. "Do not be afraid, it is I." Notice what happens when Jesus steps in the boat. Journey with him. The wind dies down. The storm doesn't vanish because the disciples mastered it. It comes because Jesus entered into the situation. When I was studying in America, there used to be this program called the Situation Room. The storm comes when Jesus enters into the situation room of our lives. This is the heart of the gospel message. We are not alone. Whatever challenges you face in this semester, the preparations you have to make academically, socially, spiritually, emotionally, even maturely, know that Christ is with you. Invite him into your boat and let his presence bring peace to your storms. You may recall again his promise, I am with you till the end of the age. And to conclude, Pope Francis again has this beautiful line. In the midst of storm, we see strong faith or shaken faith. And he has this, faith begins when we realize that we need salvation. We are not our own saviors. We are not self-sufficient. By ourselves, we found him. We need the Lord. Like the ancient navigators needed the stars to be able to locate where they are going. Let us invite Jesus into the boat of our lives as we begin this new year as a king. Let us hand him over our fears to him so that he can conquer them. Like the disciples, we will still experience the storms. They are part of life. But because of God's strength, and as we know, we have the good assurance in the letter of Paul, where he says, everything turns good to those who love God. Even bad things can be transformed. Inviting Jesus brings serenity into our storms because with God, life never dies, even in the physical death. So as we look to the future, my dear friends, my dear students, let's reflect some challenges and invitations ahead. Face your fears with love. What insecurities or fears are holding you back? Identify them. Then bring them before God in prayer. Let his perfect love transform your perspective. Listen to the perspective of others. The danger of one-story narrative, Chimamanda tells us. And as you receive this love, share it with others. Take small but meaningful steps to build connections in our university. When I look back, there is one of the regrets I have when I studied here for the first 3 years. There's one student in my class. I look back, I had a lot of conversation with many of them, but there is one I can hardly recall whether we really had meaningful conversation. And 1 year later, after our ordination, he died in an accident. I regret that we never had a conversation. So as you begin this semester, go towards those you least talk to. Have a conversation with them. Invite Jesus into your boat. In moments of uncertainty or struggle, resist the temptation to rely only on your own strength. Pause. Pray. Acknowledge Christ's presence and invite him into your situation. It is good to have wonderful theological reflections, but they are well matured in prayer. Embrace the journey. Start a new semester. Starting a new semester can be daunting and exciting. Like the disciples will encounter the storms. You will meet the readings of Father Marcel. But those opportunities definitely will help you to grow. Trust that God's presence is sufficient for every challenge and learn into the adventure with courage and faith. And if there is anything to go by, you will recall also the African proverb that has some wisdom. It is good to trust in God, but also remember, a cat that dreams of becoming a lion must lose its appetite for rats. As if to say, to achieve greatness, we must let go of all the habits that hold us back from progress. So let us not just be satisfied with eating rats. May this semester be a time of growth, discovery, and transformation. A season in which, as individuals and as a university community, we are shaped by the love that casts away fear, the courage that flows from knowing that Christ is present, trusting in the one who walks with us even when we don't realize. And may God bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May he accompany us in the projects of Hekima for his glory. And may he turn his face towards you